Imagine being so rich that when you're diagnosed with cancer, incurable diseases, or even aging sets in, you can buy someone else's body and transfer your consciousness into it. You can cheat death, escape pain, and live forever. But here's the question. What price will you pay? What if the new life you were promised came with its own haunting price? Get ready to witness an experiment gone wrong. This is no longer about science. This is about survival. And what happens when one man goes too far in the pursuit of eternal life. Before we jump into the recap, watch out. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Recap Scope and hit that bell icon, where we bring you the best movies in cinema history. Now, let's dive into the recap. Damien Hale, a billionaire titan of industry, is diagnosed with terminal cancer. Faced with the inevitable decline of his body, he's suddenly confronted with his own mortality. The wealth he's amassed over the years seems meaningless now as he watches his body betray him. He stands in his grand New York mansion, staring at his frail, aging reflection, his hands trembling as he struggles to pour a glass of water. The realization is inescapable. His time is running out. One day, he receives a mysterious business card that leads him to Professor Albright, a scientist offering an unconventional solution. Albright explains the concept of shedding, a medical procedure that allows one's consciousness to be transferred into a new, healthier body. It promises immortality, an escape from the ravages of age and disease. Albright reassures him that it's safe, but Damien isn't fully convinced. Despite his reservations, the allure of a second chance at life proves too powerful. He agrees to undergo the procedure. Albright arranges for Damien to stage his own public death. The media and his associates are led to believe he succumbed to cancer. The public funeral takes place, and Albright moves forward with the transfer process. In a sterile lab, Damien's body is hooked up to machines, his consciousness on the brink of being detached from his failing body. As the procedure begins, Damien feels his very essence being torn apart, his sense of self splintering as the machines work to transfer him into a new vessel. When Damien wakes up, gasping for breath, the first thing he notices is his hands. Young, strong, smooth, no longer the hands of an elderly, dying man. He looks in a mirror and sees a younger, fitter version of himself staring back. Ryan Reynolds' face. The name on the paperwork now reading Edward Kidner, a man who died in a car accident years ago. Damien's mind is in turmoil. This is not his body, yet it is now his to inhabit. At first, the new life seems like a dream. He feels the rush of vitality, the energy of youth. He runs, swims, and experiences the vigor of someone half his age. But then, the hallucinations start. It begins subtly, flashes of a woman, a child, fleeting images of a life that doesn't belong to him. They come in dreams, then they invade his waking moments. The memories don't feel like figments of his imagination. They feel real. A woman named Madeline. A child. A family he never had. Damien begins to question Albright, but the doctor dismisses his concerns, attributing the vivid hallucinations to the side effects of the procedure. However, during one conversation, Albright inadvertently reveals details of these visions that Damien never shared. This confirms Damien's worst fears. There's something far more sinister at play. Eventually, Albright arranges for Damien to take a vacation to Hawaii, hoping the change in scenery will help him cope with the side effects of the procedure. But Damien, believing the hallucinations are more than just side effects, decides to follow a memory that feels too real to ignore. He identifies a landmark he saw in his vision, a farmhouse outside St. Louis, and follows the trail. At the farmhouse, Damien encounters Madeline. She reacts to him as if he were her deceased husband, Mark, and it is in that moment that Damien's world begins to unravel. He plays along as Mark, even though the man he's inhabiting isn't truly Mark. As the conversation unfolds, Damien learns that Mark, desperate to save his daughter and his life, may have sold himself to Albright for the procedure, allowing his consciousness to be transferred out in exchange for money to pay for Anna's treatment. Before they can process this new information, Albright's men attack, including Anton, Damien's neighbor, now revealed to be part of Albright's operation. In a fierce battle, Damien kills Anton and several of Albright's men and flees with Madeline to pick up Anna from school. The urgency escalates as Damien realizes the stakes. He's not just playing for his own life anymore. He's playing for a family's future. At a nearby motel, Damien uses a laptop to research more about the shedding process. In his search, he discovers Dr. Francis Jensen, a now-deceased transhumanism pioneer, at his work on the shedding procedure. Watching a video of Jensen, Damien notices a strange tick shared between Jensen and Albright. As he pieces the clues together, he comes to a horrifying conclusion. Albright may have transferred his consciousness into Jensen's body, using the same procedure he's been selling to people like Mark. Damien then tracks down Jensen's wife, Phyllis, who is now in a nursing home suffering from Alzheimer's. Although she can't remember anything, Damien lures Albright to the facility, hoping to confront him and finally understand the truth. It's here that Albright confesses the true nature of the pills Damien has been taking. These pills aren't just to calm the side effects. They're designed to completely suppress the original personality of the body that has been shed. Without the pills, Damien's consciousness will fade and the original consciousness, Mark's, will resurface. As more of Albright's men arrive, Jensen escapes. Damien, now fully aware of the stakes, fights for his life and nearly succumbs to the attackers. But Madeline comes to his rescue, wounding one of the men, revealing Anton in a new body. Anton, taunting Damien, challenges him, asking Madeline to question Mark about their shared past, a past Damien cannot remember. This taunt forces Damien to finally confess the truth. He is not Mark, but Damien Hale. He explains everything, how he sold his body to escape death, and now he must deal with the consequences. Damien takes Madeline and Anna to his old friend, Martin O'Neill, to arrange their escape. Martin, initially hesitant, is forced to listen as Damien explains the truth about shedding. But Martin shocks Damien with a horrifying revelation. He has also undergone the shedding procedure, and even more shockingly, he allowed his own deceased son, Tony, to be reborn in another body. As the clock ticks down, they realize that Jensen's men are closing in, and they must act quickly. In a moment of brutal clarity, Damien distracts Jensen's men, allowing Martin, Madeline, and Anna to escape. But as they realize Damien is alone, they turn their attention back to him. Desperate to reclaim his life, Damien intentionally stops taking his pills, allowing Mark's memories to resurface. These memories lead him to an abandoned warehouse where Jensen has been conducting more shedding procedures. Damien is captured, and Jensen prepares to transfer Anton's consciousness into Mark's body. But Damien, remembering that metal interferes with the process, hides a bullet casing in his mouth, which disrupts the machine's function. The result is catastrophic. The machine malfunctions, and Anton's consciousness is destroyed. Damien, now masquerading as Anton, escapes with Madeline and Anna, finally putting an end to Jensen's twisted experiments. Jensen tries to convince Damien that he needs him to survive, but Damien, armed with the formula to reverse the effects of the pills, finally destroys Jensen with a flamethrower. With Jensen dead, Damien ensures that Madeline and Anna can safely escape to the Caribbean. He watches them go, knowing he's done all he can. Damien then travels to the Caribbean, fully stopping his medication. As the real Mark slowly reemerges, he watches a video message left by Damien, thanking him for the time they shared. Damien's final message is one of closure. He thanks Mark for allowing him to live his life. Mark, now in control of his own destiny, finds peace as he reunites with his family. Thanks for sticking around and watching this wild ride of video. If you didn't hit the like button yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that thumbs up like it's your new body. And don't forget to drop a comment. Tell us what you'd do if you could swap bodies with anyone. We're curious, seriously. Oh, and while you're at it, subscribe to Recap Scope and ring that bell like it's your new heartbeat. You don't want to miss the next mind-bending recap we've got coming your way. Catch you in the next one. Until then, stay young, or at least try to...